Well, hello North Country, Calvin Castine, Hometown Cable, and me, Gordie Little. One more time at the Clinton County Fairgrounds. It seems as though all the really fun events in the world take place right here at this venue, and we've covered so many over the years. We hope you, whenever you watch this, that you're having a great summer or fall or winter or spring. We're doing this on the 5th day of July 2014, right after we covered a sterling red, white, and blue patriotic 4th of July parade in downtown Plattsburgh. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but there is an exhibition of the Champlain Valley Antique Gas Engine and Tractor Association every year, and this just happens to be the 24th annual. Today, Saturday, July 5th, Clinton County Fairgrounds, and it isn't long before the actual Clinton County Fair will be taking place. And we have wind blowing a gale, which took Calvin's hat off yesterday at one event on the 4th of July, and it's very breezy here today. But another low humidity day on Route 3 in Morrisonville. On display here are gas engines, tractors, farm tools, antique cars, trucks, snow sleds. There's a flea market, there are craft vendors, and much more. And people also this year have been urged to come and display their own antique items here. There was a tractor pull with a sled this morning at 10 o'clock. We're here after 11:30 in the morning, and this is a long tractor pull. And these long tractors, believe me, are rather strong and powerful, and they have some pretty good weights that they pull down the fairground. I have to tell you that this racetrack looks a lot better today than it did during a rainy evening for the Relay for Life, which took place only a few weeks ago here at this same venue. Enjoy the tractor pull and antique tractors and engines today on Hometown Cable. Well, we do apologize for missing the big tractor pull, which occurred about an hour or so before we got here. They said they would have antique automobiles and trucks, and they've got a truck here. What year is this one, Calvin? Did you remember?
Yeah, it's a 52.
52 Chevrolet truck, very nicely painted up with their original dash and a original steering wheel that had one small crack in it. Maybe that was an emergency when you had to grasp the wheel, and I've had a few of those knuckle biting incidents myself, but it's very nice. I love old pickup trucks and cars, and
it's a big pickup too. It's a big truck.
It's a good size. It's a full-size bed, probably I don't know, maybe an 8-foot bed. There's 6 and 8 and short boxes and extra crew cabs these days in trucks. You know, I have a truck with a full back seat and 4 doors, and you know, you can put more people in the back seat of the truck than you can in the car. Even 3 in the front if some small child wants to sit on the on the hump in the middle, you know.
Well, when these trucks came out, they weren't there for pleasure. They weren't, you know, people now buy trucks so they want to drive a truck.
Yeah, you say there's a scratch. Yeah. Hey, it's a truck.
That's right.
It's a truck.
The truck was working. This was whatever it did. It was earning its keep.
They certainly did. It's you can't beat the weather today. There's a nice breeze if you can hold on to your hat and not have the camera tip over on the tripod. And once again, we're here for the antique tractors and engines at the Clinton County Fairground. It's an association that's been together for a long time. This is the 24th annual. I have to tell you that for many of these events, people don't turn out in droves. They would be interesting to kids. They're certainly interesting to Calvin and me, these old tractors and the old hit and miss engines and so on. But the people just don't, there's too many things going on in this wide world.
Yeah, and I don't think they get enough publicity ahead of time. You know, this is something people just plan on. It's usually the weekend following the 4th of July, so, you know, sometimes it's the 7th or 8th, and sometimes, like today, it's the 5th, you know, so people should plan on it. Come up here and...
Good way to relax after the crazy activities on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
We got people coming.
Yeah, we got the Tony Trombley and his father Lyle's here.
Hi, Tony, Gordie Little, come on over, man.
From Wyoming.
How are you, Lyle? Come on. Come on, you get to talk, too. You get to talk. How you doing? Good. I see you put your cleanest shirt on today. So did I.
No, we came as we were.
That's the way it is.
You make a choice to be late or to come as you are.
I didn't even shave today. And who cares? So what's new with you? What have you been doing?
Farming and collecting and fixing and.
This is great. Did you bring something today?
I did. I brought 2 tractors today.
Tell me what you brought.
I bought they're both kind of unusual. I got a MI that I just got in December. I had never seen one and it was offered to me, so I got it running and it's here today.
Tell me what that means and tell the people who have no clue.
Oh.
What is it?
Well, it's a tractor I'd never seen that John Deere made. You know, I'd only seen pictures in books, and to have one find me, that's...
Isn't it funny how that works out? It's like somebody hands it to you.
It's meant to be mine. So.
Well, you got to do it.
Yeah, and then of course you put way more money in it than you thought you had to. Well, yeah, that's all part of it.
What year is it?
It's 51.
Was it running when you got it?
No, it hasn't been run for like 40 years.
Come on.
Everything in the motor was wrong.
Come on.
I had to end up changing the whole motor.
Oh, you had to get another motor?
Yeah.
Did you find the proper motor?
Yes, because that motor was same, you know, for other John Deere tractors. But yeah, the chassis is completely different, but the motor was the same. So that was not a problem to find a motor. That was
not for you. For some people have had to find a motor bit dating back.
Yeah, and getting it in, we had to work on that, you know. And it's like old plumbing. You fix this, well, now you got to fix that.
A leak over here.
Yeah.
You got to put a new wiring on it. And
that all happened.
The power takeoff doesn't
But guess what? The lights, they weren't wired, but we wired them and they worked.
You're kidding.
So
it's all your fault too, right now. That's great.
You saw it all come back together.
Where did you find the tractor?
It found me.
Where?
Well, you know how it found me is when Calvin did a show at our place back in 90. Is that when it was, Calvin?
First one? Probably.
Yeah, the guy is from Wilmington, but he caught that show, and then
think about that.
A few years later, there was an article in North Countryman. They stopped and they did an interview on me and took pictures, and they had that. And then there was another time the Press Republican stopped and took pictures, and this guy had all that stuff in a folder.
Come on.
And he bought the tractor in '82 and wanted to restore it, but he collected my stuff because he knew if he didn't get to restore it that he would want to find a home for it. So he calls information in the phone book because he had my name on it, you know, and he got my wife, and she said, well, we already got an M. She says, but I'll have my husband call you. So I called him and I asked him about it. He said it's yellow.
Oh, baby.
I said, is this a green one painted yellow or was it always yellow? He goes, no, I don't know. He says, it's a John Deere M. I says, can you email me a picture of it? And this was on a Saturday. And he did. And I went in and got the email, and I knew what it was right off. And he had already told me the price. So it was December 8th. You know, and the following day was December 9th on a Sunday, and I was kind of free that day, so I...
Kind of free.
I said, are you home tomorrow? I said, I'm coming to look at it. And I brought my truck, and I just bought it. It was...
How'd you get it up on the truck?
Well, when he took a picture of it, it was in like a foundation of a building with no building. So I seen there was a 4-foot bank. It was backed up against a 4-foot wall. I seen all that.
That's too good
I said, we'll just pull that out. I'll back my truck there, and we pushed it right on.
How'd you push it on with another tractor?
He had another tractor with a loader, and I helped him. And that was like that was like number 80. That's my 80th 2-cylinder tractor.
Are you kidding me?
And everyone has a story similar to that one. That's how I got it.
You know, Calvin and I have done, I don't know how many television shows with people who collect tractors all over the North Country.
Yeah.
We were just out at Babby's the other day on their farm.
Good friend of mine,
and they're good people. They're here today.
They're here big time, We got a lot in common.
So who's the president of the association these days?
This one is Sam Sorrell.
Sam?
I believe, and Dave Babby is the vice president. Dave used to be the president, but he's got a lot of irons in the fire, you know, and so he's tried to put some of the responsibility, you know, he was spreading himself too thin, but he's still he's still really tying this all together.
You know, it's not easy, as I said before. You and I went on today. It's not easy to keep a club like this, an association like this together.
Oh yeah, well things change, you know. You get
people get old and say, I can't bring my tractor.
Yeah, and thankfully there's young people, a few young people that are liking it, and that's what we need to keep this rolling, you know, and to keep the agriculture part of it alive. You know, it's the way it used to be.
It's people like you that need for me to tip my hat to for doing this, because Calvin and I just mentioned that too. We don't get enough publicity for an event like this. I mean, I had hoped to see the parking lot full of people.
Yeah. Well, it's too close to the 4th of July, and there's a lot of other things going on at the same time this year, as it turns out, you know.
As it turns out, there's so many things going on all the time.
That's life.
You tell your kids, come on, we're going to look at some old tractors. And the kid's going to say, do I have to go?
Yeah.
I'm playing a
My
video
poor kids, they are very involved, and now it's like it doesn't mean hardly anything to them, you know. It's like, well, let Dad do that, you know.
So how many tractors do you have all told?
I got around 80 of the ones that are older than I am. You know, and
you're just a young whippersnapper.
I used to be a whippersnapper.
So how did you start? Just had an interest in old things?
My dad had them, and we had to farm with them.
Yeah.
And when I took the farm over, I never traded his in, because we you know, back then you'd run a tractor for 30 years.
Oh, cool.
Now it's 5 years and it's obsolete. The technology is old, but back then, I mean, you had to make them go. So we had that part down, you know. And then you could buy them cheap because they were, you know, they're just at the right age. They weren't old enough to be an antique, but they were too old to be fishing on a modern farm. So you could buy them for a good deal.
We used to say little or nothing, but it's not little or nothing anymore.
No, I'd never. Well, maybe I had a few for nothing, but there was always a trade-off of work or something. But
do you ever have an open house at your place for people to come and see them?
Not.
You keep them all inside?
Yeah, well, I get them out in the summer sometimes. You know, when I'm still an active farm, so that field by the road, when that's hay, you know, if I get the urge to see them there and get enough help lined up, we get them out. But it doesn't happen like it used to. See, my kids are growing up now. I lost all my drivers.
I know, that's the difference on the farm.
And it's hard to loan.
Farmers have big families.
Yeah. And that's why they smarten up and they say, we're not doing this. We're, you know.
Of course. Are you kidding?
Yeah, they got big money, weekends off. You know, farmers don't, you know, it's hard to get big money. You know, when things are good, it's a short time, and then when things go the other way, it's a long time.
I spent a lot of time talking about that. I had one of my sons here from down, and he grew up around here, but they live in Ohio, and they were up on the weekend, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
About that work ethic that farmers have.
Yeah.
That nobody but farmers has anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to do that 7 days a week?
It's not paid by the hours. Not, you know, we get paid by the 100, by the ton, or by the pound. You know, you don't get paid by the hour.
Nothing is handed to you anymore. You rely on the price of grain and what you get for your milk.
And you got to figure out a way to try to make money doing it, and things change all the time.
And it's not easy unless you. How many head of cattle do you have now?
We sold our milk cows a year ago.
So you don't have any milk cows?
No milk cows, but we still got beef.
You got beef?
And we got our young stock that I'm still growing them and sell them just before they have a cow. And that's working out good because it frees my wife up from milking. She used to get stuck with that job, and you know, that was. Hats off to her. She put up with it for a long time.
You know, we don't spend enough time, I suppose, talking about the farmer's wife, you know, the old joke.
Yeah.
The farmer's daughter and the farmer's wife. But, you know, it's a family affair. When you're on a farm, it's a family affair.
It was when she was young. That's what got us together, was she loved farming. But then, you know, we had a son right off, and I said, well, good. Mom's going to get to retire early because we got 2 boys now, and my daughters were as good as any guy working, you know. But when they got to the end of their school, they said, no, there's better ways. And then it all got stuck on Marcia and I. So now that they're committed, they don't want to farm, the cows went.
So you got the M1.
MI.
MI?
Yeah.
And you got another one?
Yeah, that's a 435 diesel.
John Deere?
Yeah.
Are your tractors all John Deere tractors?
Supposed to be.
Pope Catholic?
You know what? I hate to answer this because we're on camera, but no, I have. I have.
When we got. Is this breaking news?
This is a confession.
Breaking news.
A confession.
Right.
I have.
I'll be the Pope for a moment.
I have. I just got a case tractor.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, these guys came. It's a local from a Show-7 farm, and he said, "We got this old tractor. We know you're a John Deere man, but it's we don't want it. We're taking it to the scrap, And I said, "Well, I'll give you scrap for it."
Oh, don't do that.
And then it hooked me. I liked it, and first time I worked on a 4-cylinder, it needed a valve job. That's why I got it cheap. Yeah. Well, a valve job is $750 it's twice what a John Deere is, because a John Deere is only $2, and it's been quite a learning experience. I got a lot of money, and that's another one where you got a lot more money into it than you wanted to put. But I like the old tractor.
You like to hear him run, don't you?
Yeah, and so does my dad,
There's nothing like the sound of a tractor, and it's got power.
Yeah, and they have a governor where they talk louder when you work harder.
Yes, they do.
And
they
then
get right down and grunt.
And you lean back in the seat. That helps, Oh, yeah.
It's always helped me.
Yeah, you watch these guys when they're pulling, when they start spinning, you see them lean right back. They think
like it's going to do some good, a little more weight on the rear end, huh?
It's all on their head, but boy, oh boy.
Well, that's wonderful. What you do is a good thing to preserve the memory.
That's the words I want.
Like used to be in the old days, and that's why I'm proud to help to promote this antique engine. Do you have any old engines besides?
We
tractors?
do. Yeah, my dad had a few, and we still have them. So we got 2.
Any hit and miss?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Got them all running?
Very much so.
Yeah, we haven't started it in a while.
Sometimes it's hard to get them started.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the sound of an old hit and miss.
Yeah.
Oh, just wonderful.
And he knows where it came from. It was on a cement mixer, and he actually used it to build his first silo.
Come on.
Yeah, and he see it wasn't doing anything, so he went and gave the guy $10 for just the motor.
You gotta be kidding me.
This is when I was a kid.
These stories.
Yeah, this is when I was a kid. Oh, I got stories that. I got national stories. They go worldwide.
Well, it's great. And these days, if you took a picture of all this stuff, you could put it on YouTube and go viral. Viral.
And you know what? I didn't have computer in school, so I'm not that in touch with the computer. So that's a whole different world. I'm outside of that.
It really is.
Yeah.
But most people who do what you and your dad do is for the joy of doing it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Then you join a group like this because you feel like, well, heck, I'd like to share this.
Yeah. That is flashback here when Calvin and when he did that first show there.
Probably with Bob then. With
Bob. This group was the first year it formed. Because we talked about it. Yeah.
Because Calvin and I have done this together since I left the radio business 17 years ago.
Already.
If Bob then had stayed alive, I'd be waving at him from my porch in Morrisonville.
Well, you had big shoes to fill, and you did well. A nice transition there.
Never hoped to fill Bob then shoes.
Yeah.
Totally different personality. But we both have great interest in the North Country and the people in the North Country.
Just like 2 farmers. They're both farmers, but they're completely different.
Completely different philosophy and a way of life.
Different way to get there. Yeah.
So you'll be a farmer till the day you die.
Absolutely. Yeah. One way or another. Yeah.
And how about your kids? Nobody's anxious to take over?
Not yet. No.
You know what? I expected to talk for about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
I hope it works out for you.
We'll go look at your tractors. What do you say?
Well, when they're there, you're welcome to. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, my friend.
Thanks,
See you later.
And we got good weather for the show this year.
I love it.
Every year we get a rainstorm, but this year we're good.
We're good to go.
Yep.
Have a great day, guys.
Talk up another one. Thanks.
We've been lucky enough, Calvin, to meet a number of people who are passionate about tractors, but especially passionate about John Deere tractors. They are unique in so many respects. Here's one that is unique in many respects all by itself. It's the one we were just talking about. It's called the MI, and look what color it is, folks. And the old phrase, nothing runs like a deer, and this one I'm sure runs with another engine that he had put in, but it's yellow.
Yeah, John Deere green doesn't exist. Oh, it actually does in one of his rebuilt parts on the other side. I saw some green.
Oh, you saw some green? But we saw it when we walked by. We saw a guy showing it to his child and his wife, And when we walked up, he said, "There aren't very many a row." I said, "Yeah, the guy who owns it had only seen pictures of them." He said, "Me too. I saw it once in a magazine." So it's just one of those things when you're focused on something very important. Sometimes.
It's too bad Tony didn't put a sign on it, because I think a whole lot of people are going to come by here and not realize it's a John Deere.
Not have any idea, because I don't know if it had the John Deere emblem on the front.
I would assume it had everything on there at one time when it came off the showroom, but just amazing that, if Tony hadn't been able to see the picture of it, he may not have bothered to go down and buy it.
Exactly right. And it's, what is it, 63 years old now? He said at 51, didn't he?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 1951, I think he said. So that's wonderful. At least they have a lot of good tractors here today and a lot of pieces of equipment. And maybe after the tractor pulls over, we'll get some more people to interview.
Well, we can just make our way down. I'll keep
we can do
the camera running here and be a little bouncy, but.
How about this idea with the farm hole and the tread on it? That would go through the deep dirt in the fields in the springtime, huh? That's a nice farm hole. I know very little about tractors, so my running commentary is going to run on slow motion during the course of today, and all I can do is give you my own personal oohs and ahs and confer with Calvin about what he remembers. But that's a nice tractor right there.
You know, I'm glad, I was born in '47. I'm glad to have memories of, first of all, no television, before television, to have memories of listening to the radio, and that was your form of entertainment. But also to have memories of working horses on the farm. By the time I was old enough to know what was going on, my father had a John Deere tractor. And I do remember Babe and Brownie, the two horses that he had, workhorses, and thanks to our friends on the Pellerin Road,
Country Dreams Farm, Melissa, Monty Provost, and George
Vidal, they're trying to keep that alive, but it's nice that people keep these things going. They've got a nice museum here on the Fairgrounds. You've got the Babby Museum that you mentioned earlier, and for those of us with memories, it's even more important, but it's also important to keep these things alive so that kids will know what was there, even though they didn't have the first-hand experience.
There were horses working farms for a lot longer than there have been tractors working farms, believe me. And I, being 10 years your senior, Calvin, I can certainly remember horses on the farm and working with horses, and I've always had a special connection with horses, at least psychically, and I know many people who raise horses. I know many people who race horses, and far more people who just have horses for the sheer pleasure of having them and showing them. We have a lot of great Morgan horse owners and lovers and shows right here at the Clinton County Fairgrounds, and I spent a few years announcing their shows after I left the radio business. There's a John Deere for you.
There's a few
435 diesel, huh?
One of the first things you learned when you were driving one of these tractors was the difference between the clutch and the brake.
Oh yeah, you learned that early. One mistake.
And how did they stop those horses? What they do? What they say? Yeah, tell us. It's been a while since you told us the story of that farmer there.
Oh, should I tell you that?
Yeah, just tell us that.
Well, I will. Old Dave Hiltz lived just outside of Moira on the road that goes up towards St. Regis Falls, and I worked for him all during high school. And I worked not just haying in the summertime, but all year long, milking day and night and doing whatever chores there were to be done, and cleaning the ugly, nasty, smelly chicken coops and whatever there was to be done. We did a lot with horses for a long time, and one day the Ford or Fortune salesman came and said, "Dave, it's time you get a tractor." Dave said, "No, I like my horses." You know, when you swear at a tractor, it doesn't respond, and sometimes when you swear at your horses, they do.
This was the early 50s?
This was the early 50s, and so the guy brought a tractor and wanted Dave to try it. So he unloaded the tractor, and we were back on the lane in the back pasture, and the guy said, "Dave, just get on it. See this lever? Pull this down. That's the gas. There's the clutch right over here." And I don't think he told him where the brake was. I'm not sure. So Dave somehow, instead of getting it in low, he got it in road gear.
I'm sure he had a truck or a car or something. So
he had a truck, so he was vaguely familiar. But the tractor, the nuances of the Ford tractor in those days, in the early 50s, and there are a couple of them here. Like there's one almost identical to it right next door that dates back to about that time period. So I stood there leaning against the fence as Dave got in and let the clutch out. So he knew what the clutch was, and boy, that thing lurched forward, went through the fence, and headed down through the pasture, which was a little bit bumpy, and far off into the distance you could hear the echoes of old Dave's voice hollering, "Whoa, whoa, you S.O.B.," explaining every word with great enunciation. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, I don't know if he hit a tree and felt obligated to buy the tractor, but he did buy the tractor. So I got to drive it a lot after that. And so, for my great memories of old Dave Hilt cultivating with his horse, and I could hear him swearing at the horse a quarter of a mile away back at the barn. But I learned, as all of our viewers know, and certainly my family and friends, the great life's lessons that I learned by working very, very hard on the farm. I made $20 a week in the wintertime and $30 a week in the summertime.
That's darn good pay.
For back then, in the early days. But you earned it because you worked how many hours a day before sunrise to after sunset. That's mowing away a lot of hay.
Well, I figured 2 hours milking in the morning, 2 hours milking at night. That's 28 hours a week right there.
Right there, milking by hand. We had 35 to 40 head of wonderful Holstein cows. Boy, when we got the Surge and De La Val milkers and the way to run them off the tractor, off the PTO on the tractor, and boy, that was wonderful. And now you and I have had the good fortune of going to some of these computerized farms now.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. Now, what the heck does he call this? A 1948 Toro Bull.
Jitterbug.
It's a doodlebug is what it is.
Or a jitterbug.
A jitterbug or doodlebug as we call them. A jitterbug works great. It's almost totally manufactured from some old vehicle, and doesn't show any semblance to what it looked like before, and I don't know if those are Ford wheels or not. Great old wheels and tires. Look at all the tread left on the dualies in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that great? These are fine, and it has headlights, so the old farmer would drive it on the road if he needed to go from one place. I don't know if he ever took it to church, but I remember hitchhiking once near Potsdam on the way back to Messina, where I lived, and got a ride with somebody who wasn't totally sober with one of these things late at night. It was either that or walk 20 miles, and boy, did I hold on for dear life. Those were before the days of seatbelts. Guy says, "You want to get off here?" I said, "Yeah, before I fall off, I want to get off right here."
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Here's another great old John Deere, lots of old John Deeres, and the word Oliver isn't as popular, but there were a lot of Oliver tractors here in the North Country, and I've seen and worked with them.
Yeah, so we'll have to correct this. Not a John Deere.
Yeah.
It's an Oliver.
It's an Oliver, Super 88, and you can tell that these tires, both back and front, have been places and done things.
Yeah, there was a farm on the Lakeshore Road in Shazy that had all kind of Olivers in front of it. We used to see that just before you get to the lake part of the lakeshore.
This is one of Dave's creations, and they don't generally run when he gets them, and they do when he finishes, because he's got to be one of the world's leading experts at getting things running. David Babby. And they have lots of great old tractors on the learning farm out there on the River Road in Peru. If you want to take your kids or your grandfather and neighbors, do that. Another great name, Alice Chalmers, 1961. Now that looks like a pretty old tractor. So I must be pretty old, because that's when I started on the radio up here on the 4th of July, 1961. That's great. And that's Eric's.
Yeah, we've already seen another one owned by one of his other sons down the other way. So the next generation Babbies are continuing.
Yeah, and believe me, David and the rest of them, but mostly David, because that's what he does for a living, will take these things apart piece by piece, clean and rebuild and make new parts if he has to, because that's what farmers do, as you've learned today. You know, that's where the old phrase, I put it together using baling hay and wire. And that's a bit what they did. Now that we have duct tape, it's a whole new world of repairs.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, there's one that Leeward owns. I imagine we've seen this before.
I think so, yeah. That's a 1954 McCormick standard. And you know, what's interesting is for people who are purists, restoring these things, you can actually get the original decals that go on the sides, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are warehouses in places around the country where you can get brand new parts that are 60 years old that have been in the boxes of an old place that closed, and if you're lucky you can find those things. And I'm talking about car parks too. Now here's a tractor. There is a tractor. That's also 1951, but in sharp contrast to the others, a Minneapolis Moline G tractor from 1951. 4-cylinder, 55 horsepower. Wow-wee! And that's David's too. Even though his sign is
getting faded.
We got to get somebody to redo his sign.
You know, didn't see too many of these when I was growing up in the area working the fields. I don't know if it was more that way in St. Lawrence County, but
I don't remember seeing many. I knew the name from the time I was young because I was interested in farming. But that's a great tractor, and I'm sure David has it running just like a charm.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, Minneapolis is the name of it, and I think that part of the country was more apt to be using these kind of tractors.
Well, these people who are aficionados, if I might use that word, will travel a long ways to get a tractor like this if they need one. And yes, we were, as young kids, we were introduced to the name Caterpillar. For sure. Boy, here is an old one. Remember the old Caterpillar D8s when I was a kid working on construction? They were the most powerful thing on tracks, you know. Look at this thing. It's obviously running, but the hood's ready to be opened in case something doesn't go right. That's David's also. And you know what year it is? 1924. 1924.
That's 90 years ago.
Yep.
If you're counting. And you got that nice little crank to break your wrist with. And
you've got to be so careful cranking. I have cranked an awful lot of vehicles in my lifetime, and I've got the bad shoulders and arms to pay for that. And young people have no idea how that works. You generally have to push the crank in to engage it.
Yeah, don't wrap your hand around it.
And no,
like a baseball bat.
And then give it a good shot. You've seen people turning the prop on a small airplane to get it going. Well, it's not dissimilar to this, and if you don't have the spark just set right, they don't start. And here's a 1937 McCormick Deering, as you can see by the sign, another one of David's.
1937, how old would that be
right
now?
How old would that be? That's the year I was born, on June 15th, so they were running those somewhere. And we were talking about this the other day when I was doing some video without Calvin in my hometown for a change when they tore the old bridge down, and those wonderful new huge machines were steam engines, and there were children's books written about Sammy the, or whatever his name was, Sammy the Steam Shovel, you know?
Yeah.
And here's one that you talk about my date of birth.
Here we go.
1947 International.
This one look how much newer and sharper it looks compared to that 37. This is a modern one here, 1947.
You know, a guy like yeah, you are. And a guy like David Babby, he gets it running all right and loves to do that. But you notice it's not restored. That is the whole body. Like people get a car and restore it so it looks like brand new and then sell it for $37,000 or $200,000. This is the way it finished its life. But it's got a hitch on the front, so I know he's been towing it or towing something with it. These were true workhorses back in their day. Yeah. I don't know how many Caterpillars David has, but he's got a lot.
Yeah, I was watching the American Pickers rerun last night, and they found this part of an old car, and they bought it, and they got, you know, $2,000 invested in it, and he goes to this guy who restores things and says, "How much more?" "Well, maybe 15 to 20,000 to get it."
Yeah.
You know?
I've seen them got burned on a few cars, you know.
No, it was worth. He thought the guy expert thought he could get 5,000 for the condition it was in right now. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a fun show, American Pickers. It's one of the few reality shows that I try to watch every single episode of because it's less contrived than some of the others, and I'm not going to give you a long commentary of what I think about reality shows.
Yeah.
There is one that I'd like to mention briefly in case you happen to come across it on the cable. It's called Naked and Afraid. That's all I'm going to say.
And they've got, I haven't looked at the uncensored one, but every once in a while they'll put them on that's uncensored, so I haven't seen those yet.
Oh, well. So here's a 54 Farmall. Look at that. Is that beautiful? And that's Leeward's.
Yeah, see, two of them. The other one was a 54. That was, he was pretty close to his senior year. You know,
It's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice tractor. For those of you who don't know what the heck we're talking about when we mentioned the Babby boys, and he's the patriarch of that family, we talked many years ago with Leeward Babby about his dream moving from Champlain, buying a piece of property down on the River Road in Peru and starting that learning farm, and he did it 4 years ago, and it's thriving today thanks to the support of some people and not nearly as well attended as Calvin and I would like to see it. I have no idea what this is, so I could call it a monstrosity, but I don't think it came from the factory that way, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, there are tractors that are made with wide front wheels for working between rows, you know,
and
over the rows.
Figure out what the name is on the grill there?
Yes, it's EILVER. No, Silver, not EIL. That shows my old eyes. Silver, KING. Silver King.
Silver King.
I don't know about you, Calvin. I've never seen another one like it. I don't know what the reason would be.
Yeah, it looks like it was put together after the fact, but who knows? Like I said, we don't know.
And there's not a sign on it, so I don't even know who owns it. Not a clue.
Can't be they're proud of owning it here. I would be, you know, if I had something like that.
I would too, because it's got to be unique.
Yeah.
I think it's got a couple new rear tires on it. Relative, those look like fairly new tires.
Oh yeah, a lot of rubber on them, yeah.
Well, it sure is good. It's got a power takeoff on the side, as you can see. It obviously runs it because they probably drove it here, but boy, talk about a tricycle. And it's strongly built, you can tell. Look at the size, look at the steel.
That's all cast.
Wow. We're doing this program at the Clinton County Fairgrounds at the 24th Antique Tractor and Engine Fair, as I call it here at the Clinton County Fairgrounds, on a very, very windy 5th day of July. I don't know how the microphone is taking to this wind, but at least it's plugged in today, Calvin, so
keep checking it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
There's another very common name, the Case. I'll walk
Everybody owns one, even Tony Tremblay.
Even Tony Tremblay. Let's see. Matthew Eero, 1940, Case 6. It's rare. They only made 700, and so this may be the only one here in the North Country. It's been repainted a little bit with the original colors, but it's not. And it looks like the machine is all original.
Here is a regular Silver King right here.
A regular Silver King. I don't know how the two, this may be older, but I'm not sure. There aren't many similarities from that I can tell. Except this one has fenders, and I don't know if they're aftermarket fenders or not. There was some danger for riding, especially when you took your kid with you. They say don't put your kid on a garden tractor or something when you're mowing the lawn. How many times did you ride with your father on a tractor?
Yeah, a little bit, but girlfriends were what you were supposed to have sitting on your fender.
That's true too. Look at the tread on these front tires. That's very, very interesting. a Silver King. It probably didn't have headlights on it when it's new, but it's got a relatively new exhaust on it that somebody cobbed together by bending the pipe and welding it. And it's got, of course, a lot of the old cars, as well as trucks and tractors, used 6-volt instead of 12-volt power systems.
I'll bet if we get in a time machine, we could see Marcia riding on the fender with the young Tony Tremblay.
While you get a chance, make sure you show a very good picture of the steering wheel.
What's left of it?
What's left of the steering wheel. It's got just enough to grab onto. The rubber covering is gone. I'm not sure that that's even an original tractor seat. It could be. Looks
like a dump rake seat.
Looks like a dump rake, which I spent far too long on the back of a dump rake as a kid with a horse. This one is a
Top Shot.
Yeah, 1960 411. And there's the Rusty Iron Farm, made by Fiat. I did not know that.
No.
That's a no one. So that's the Cockshut tractor. That's
not yours, is it?
No, it's Bob's. In fact, you took watching the tractor.
Oh yeah, well we'll get some of these owners back down here later to chat with us, but that's a great old machine right there. The matching front tires too, right, Calvin?
Yeah.
Look at that, huh? Great old stuff.
It's not front wheel drive, so you don't need to.
No, that's right. There might be a little carburetor leak here, so we got a little runoff on the side.
He's in there.
Oh yes.
He's in there.
Okay.
Come on out, young man.
Hey Bob, how are you?
You know me?
Well, I know you now because he said your name was Bob. I'm Gordie Little.
I'm Bob Sorrell.
Hey Bob, this is Calvin Castine.
Oh, I read your name.
That's good. I'm glad you know somebody here, Bobby. Where are you from?
Originally,
Yeah.
I went to school just a little ways from your hills
Come on.
in the Morrisonville High School.
The old Morrisonville High School by the church? Come on.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness.
I went to the 2nd, 3rd, up to the 7th grade.
Isn't in the old church, old St. Alexander's Church was up
Yeah,
there on the
yeah.
side hill. That's all gone. The school's all gone. Every school I ever went to is gone.
Yep.
That's because
I
I'm old.
graduated from Peru and then I went to North Burke.
Did you really?
I live in North Burke, right on the border.
Right on the border.
I got land that's as far as from here, or closer from here to that white building.
No kidding. From
And
the-
we're right on the main area where you come across the illegals. I did come across my land. We are the border
You don't
patrol.
shoot all of them, do you?
I don't shoot any. I watch them.
I'm being facetious, Bob.
I watch them.
Do you? Well, what's the story on this tractor? Tell me about it.
It's actually the wrong date on it. I found out that it's a 1964. It's made by Fiat. It's a Cockshot.
Made by Fiat. I
Yeah.
don't know if I've ever seen another one. Have you?
No.
That's it? Where'd you
A
find
fella,
it?
actually, there's a story to that. My brother had that tractor for 30 years and he wouldn't sell it. And it
Oh.
took me that long. Finally, I talked him out of it a couple of years ago. And I got it going and
Did it run when you got it?
no.
No?
He ran it some over the years. It sat outside for 30 years.
Yeah. It's amazing how you can get the old
But I got it
tractor
running and going and I never think to get a stack cap for it. You know, it was raining last
Well,
night.
that's a good stack cap. Look at that.
I said I'd keep the water out of it.
I'll keep the, yeah, you got to do that.
Like, that's my toy. That's it.
Is it a 64?
Yeah.
I wonder if they, because I've never seen another one. I've
Well,
never heard the
they
name
made
before.
4 of them now. They're built by Fiat. 4 different companies. Oliver has one. It's a 1250. It's the same tractor but different tin.
Aha.
Shifts the same. Fiat made one, and Heston. So all the same tractor, just a different name.
Isn't that funny? They do
Different
that
tin.
a lot now, and I guess
Oh, yeah.
they did somewhat back then.
Back in the early 60s, yeah.
So you always wanted it, and you got it.
Yep, I have other I have cock shots at home, and
Do you really?
oh yeah, this is probably my 5th one, I think.
That's amazing. We talked to people earlier. Some of these people have 50, 60, 70, 80 tractors.
I got probably 8, 9. Then that's my old big saw there.
Oh, it is? Oh, back here. Oh, yeah.
Chainsaw, two-man chainsaw.
Oh, I love the two-man chainsaw. What year does it date to, do you know?
47, that one is.
Well, I was 10 years old when that one was made.
Were you?
But I used a lot of chainsaws in the clearing of land for Route 81 up near Watertown.
Yeah.
When I was in college, way back in the 50s, we got to use a lot of those big old chainsaws. That's when we had real muscles, Bobby, back in those days.
I was 9 when I started running a two-man chainsaw on the little end.
Isn't that amazing?
And my brother that's here, he has that big engine. He was 12 and he ran the big end.
Isn't that so?
I was so little that I couldn't pull it up over a log. I'd go around the log and get it started, and then he'd touch the gas and make it come up on, and then I'd get on the other side and pick up the blade. I was 9 years old.
What kind of saw is it?
It was a Maul.
Oh,
this here's a Mercury.
Yeah, I've handled the old Maul.
I have a 7-horse.
Oh, and they weren't light either.
My son, Sam is the president of the club here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he got my father's saw that he bought brand new in 1946.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
He didn't bring it down this year. He usually has it down here. Yeah.
Oh, we got to get him.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad to meet you, and I'm so glad to have this here.
I always read your column. I'm glad to talk to you, and because you live in Morrisonville.
Right there, next to the fire station.
Next to the fire station?
Yeah, right next door. They got a $2.5 million fire station they just finished.
Do you ever hear of Francis DeLorme?
Come on.
Francis DeLorme is my great aunt.
Come on.
Yes.
Of course, DeLorme store.
That was my grandfather's. Francis was my grandfather's sister.
Oh my goodness. That was the store at the intersection of Route 3 and the Rand Hill Road, right? DeLorme store?
I don't think it was the same ones.
Well, there was a lot of DeLorme.
They must have been related.
I've known about Francis DeLorme.
Nelson
anyway.
DeLorme was.
And Nelson DeLorme. There you go.
That was Francis's husband.
Now you're cooking.
Aunt Francis and Uncle Nelson.
Oh my goodness! Wait till I tell my wife. Goes back
I thought you lived down further by Lloyd Sorrell's.
No, I don't. But I know a lot of people that do. I've been in Morrisonville since 1970, so I know most of the people there.
Well, I left there in we lived on Soper Street. You know where Soper Street is?
Of course, come on.
Well, that's where I was raised, and then we moved up there in 1986.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Well, I've been there for a long time. Right on the river's three feet from the
I know.
Been there for a long time. Oh, the battery's going low. We got to put a new one on. Let's pause for a moment. See, when they swing. Well, we just realized that it's 5 minutes before 1 in the afternoon at the Antique Tractor Show and Engine Show here at the Clinton County Fairgrounds on the 5th of July, 2014. And hopefully there'll be a parade of tractors in just a short time. In days past, they used to have a parade of tractors. I think it was the night before from the fairgrounds.
Weather permitting, they were supposed to do it last night.
Whether they did or not, I don't know. I didn't come through at that time, so I'm not sure. But these old tractors are here, and we're going to have a panoramic view of these tractors. But we won't have time to talk to all the people right now because we'd like to see the parade. But
hopefully they'll be moving some of these, and we'll see them in the parade.
Hope so. I only seen one of them.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of activity here.
I wonder if he's going to be the only one in the parade. I guess we'll just have to find out if we can and talk to some of the organizers later on. I'm sure our viewers don't mind if we stop and chat with people for a while and find out they lived almost next door to me in the olden days. And
this first one here, this gray one, that's a Ferguson.
It is.
Yeah, Ford Ferguson and Massey Ferguson and Ferguson
and the Fordson and the Ford and these are a whole bunch of John Deeres right in a row, including this big one here. And that I don't know if that's. Is that propane? Is that what that tank would be? What do you think? Those two tanks are diesel? Diesel fuel, maybe.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
I know the power takeoff is mighty large and the tires are wide, so there's some power there, folks. Calvin and I have...
look at that rusty one first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a gem, isn't it? Look at the big tires. I don't have any idea what year it is. We wish. We have bemoaned the fact that there isn't a sign on every single tractor saying who owns it and what year it is, and a little bit of background information, but that's hard because a lot of these people are working farmers, as we found out earlier, and they just barely have time to get it here on a Saturday. We're doing this on the Saturday after the 4th of July. So it's we're delighted that they're here, and maybe in the future we can help them make some signs to tape on. Of course, it's windy enough, maybe the signs blew off. I don't know.
The old airport by now. The signs. This here is definitely a crop tractor here with the.
Yes, it is. We talked about the wide, and look at the old iron wheel tractor behind him. Oh boy, that's now we're talking back to the 1920s again, and this one isn't a Caterpillar; it's a tractor with iron wheels on the back and front, and probably no shock absorbers. What would you say?
I would doubt it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you just get moved your team of horses aside to jump on one of those.
I think that's exactly right. Not only is this a wonderful place for these people to show off their prized possessions in the old tractors, but there's a lot of other kinds of motors and engines and chainsaws and things, some of which are being demonstrated here today. And I know Babby's old combine is here, and that dates back a long time, into a couple of centuries ago in the late 1800s, and we're delighted to have that. Delighted to have that here as well, and along with all the other equipment. I think that's there. As a matter of fact, this motor running right ahead behind the pickup truck, and that be the planer. I think that behind that is the planer we saw at the Babby's farm last weekend. It looks like a planer.
Could very well be.
It could very well be. It was hard work to get that restored after they got that one as well. And we hats off to these people. Some aren't farmers. They just love tractors and they collect them.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, you know. There's a little tractor on the back over there with a mower.
On the flatbed there?
On the flatbed, and you see the mower on the side that drops down. Sickle type mower with those little triangular shaped teeth that would break off, and you'd have to sharpen and put new ones on.
Would break off entirely, and you wouldn't find them.
And they were those sickle mowers were pulled by horses long before tractors ever came along.
Okay, well, it's officially 1 o'clock.
What do you say?
Well,
let's go do it.
We'll be the only one there watching the one tractor.
We'll do it. Well, I'm sure he didn't want to be on television, but we just interviewed a great old friend of ours. I use the word old advisedly, Jimmy Gwinnett, from Treadwell's Mill, talking about old cars and the fact that he just recently, a year or two ago, bought a beautiful 65 Falcon convertible, which he has in his garage down there in Treadwell's Mill. So it's considerably after the allotted time. The parade of tractors was to begin at 1 o'clock, and it's now 1:33 and 10 seconds. A lot of that was because of a delay when the sled broke down for the remainder of the towing contest. So the parade of tractors has now begun. Well, I didn't hear any gentlemen start your engines. I didn't hear any of the trumpet blowing. So the Kentucky Bluegrass people are apparently not here today, but the parade of tractors has begun. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 people in the stands, along with the participants. More people driving the tractors than there are spectators. But if you're watching this and your kids love old tractors, and it's really too bad that they don't come out to support this event. Thank God for Calvin Castine and Hometown Cable, and Gordie Little here behind the microphone on the 5th of July 2014 at the Clinton County Fairgrounds. Antique tractors and old engines, and a lot of these tractors, the garden tractors, are souped up with great weights on them to make them better for the pulling contest. There are various kinds of makes, and very few of them Look an awful lot like they did when they came off the factory floor, I'll tell you that. So you'll smell a few fumes as they go by. Interesting ways they put weights on the front and back of them, as you can see. They weight the wheels down and they put barbell weights on the, like this one coming out. Look at that. We got a mouthful of Clinton County dust right there from the fairgrounds. No matter how bad it gets, it's a lot better than it was the night of the Relay for Life, where it was raining hard and this was a mess. This whole track was a mess, and yet thousands of people came out to join in the Relay for Life to salute and support cancer victims of the past and present. Now, I don't know how many people will be in the parade, but I see at least 20 tractors so far. Each tractor and name are announced from the...
They could have parked that. They could have parked that little Ford somewhere else.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. There's one of the rare tractors that has a nice canopy over the back of it.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
This is Tim on a Ferguson 35.
Look at this beauty. I defy you to tell me what kind of tractor that is.
This red one here is a Ferguson. I don't have too many red Fergusons.
No.
This is Dan on a Worthington G.
There, Worthington G.
There you go.
It may be the only one you'll ever see or hear about in your lifetime.
This is Jeremiah on a Calumet.
There's some certainly oddball tractors here this year for sure. Looks like an ice cream truck to me. I doubt if you're able to hear the PA system. Maybe you can.
There's that cop shot.
There's Bobby Sorrell. Went to high school at the old Morrisonville High School.
This is Paul Toss on a W W35. This is a multi-car, one light on yeah.
It is propane, the John Deere propane that I mentioned.
Dale the Bombard.
Yeah, we've interviewed him every other year. We'll just have to wave at him this time. There's the John Deere propane coming.
Grill your hamburgers and
Yeah.
do your field work at the
How
same
about
time.
that? Yeah. Still has the sound of a John Deere, doesn't it? I'd like to use the cameras and microphones from Hometown Cable to thank all the participants who are in this club and those who came to bring their equipment here today. It's a real thrill for us to do it, and I hope for a thrill for our viewers with their children and grandchildren watching. Oh, there's an Alice Chalmers that looks like it's been over the hill and down back to the back 40. Still a working machine.
Her hair matches the color of her.
Yeah, exactly right. Probably on purpose. This is an annual event for those people who didn't watch the beginning of our program on the 5th of July 2014 from the Fairgrounds. It's been going for 24 years. This is the 24th annual. They got the old tractors and various old motors and machines and old ancient farm equipment, old 2-man and 1-man chainsaws. Sometimes no small feat to tear these engines apart and get them going, especially as some people we've interviewed today tell us they've been sitting in a field for 30 to 50, 60 years. That one's ready to go to work today. Runs just like a charm, listen to it.
Last guy in line. Vice President of the club, Mr. Dave Bobby on New Holland,
Here comes David on. David's driving the next one.
Taking the ride with him. This is the 1964 1281 self-propelled baler.
Self-propelled baler. New Holland. It's ready to do the raking. See it turning on the...
He's baling.
He's baling right now, baby. David with his good straw hat on, huh?
Yeah. I love that big, tall John Deere that went before David there.
Oh, God, isn't that a beauty? It's called a high crop John Deere.
Yeah, that's really unique. That's
it certainly is.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. I bet you Tony doesn't even have one of those.
I bet he doesn't. Maybe he'll make a bid on that one after we're through here today. Well, folks, all good things must come to an end, and the 24th annual Antique Engine and Tractor Show at the Clinton County Fairgrounds, as far as Hometown Cable Productions is concerned, is going to be soon a thing for the past. We've enjoyed being here again. Again, I encourage you to teach your kids about old equipment like this. If you know anybody that wants to join this wonderful association, please have them contact one of the people we interviewed today or go on the internet. There's quite a bit of information about it. This will continue throughout the day today. They're going to have more tractor pulling with the garden tractors, as you can see behind me. Thanks, as always, thanks to our viewers. Thanks to Calvin for holding that camera for so many years. And thanks for the people who make their comments and suggestions. We always want to hear from you. You love us or hate us or couldn't care if we made it here today or home or not on the same day. That's all right too. We'd love to hear your comment. And most important of all, if you can find some way to support this program by writing a generous check, please fill it out today. I won't specify the amount, but do what your heart tells you to do. It's important that you help support it. This is the only way we keep these programs going. When Calvin says on the show it's viewer supported, he is not kidding. So write the generous check to Calvin Castine in care of Hometown Cable, and right on the bottom if you want to our little corner, and that would be really nice. And send it to 1477 Ridge Road in Champlain. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.